Classic rock album reviews coming right at you.
SHMACKEMAGOB, my friends. It's time for another classic album episode, and I want to talk about this right here. Another Perfect Day from Motörhead. I'll give you my little history, brief history of Motörhead. The very first time I ever heard of Motörhead, there was a concert at the Miami Baseball Stadium back in '81, I believe. And it was, headliners were Heart and Blue Oyster Cult, I believe Firefall, and Motörhead. And they gave a commercial saying, it was a commercial for Ace of Spades, the album that just came out or was fairly new, or it just came out in the States. And catch Motörhead at the Miami Baseball Stadium, and I heard a little clip of Ace of Spades, and I was like, whoa, man, I gotta get there early. This band sounds heavy, you know, fast. I was looking for nothing but metal at the time, you know, and it sounded like the fastest thing I ever heard on the radio. And went early, saw them, and it turned out it was the very first Motörhead show in the United States. When I met Lemmy, I brought that up. I go, Lemmy, I saw your very first show in the United States, Miami Baseball Stadium. He goes, no, I played here with Hawkwind before that. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But he did remember that show, the Miami Baseball Stadium. And what I vividly remember of that show, I mean, number one, it was the Ace of Spades, Bomber, Overkill, Iron Fist lineup. The classic lineup. I got to see him once. And what I remember was the baseball stadium, like everybody was sitting down, but there was these two long-haired dudes without shirts going nuts during Motörhead, and they were from England. They were blokes from England. And at the time, Motörhead was huge in England, but here they were unknown. So it was hard for me to find any Motörhead record at the time, anywhere. Till, I don't know, maybe it was less than a year later. I know it was months down the road. I found No Sleep Till Hammersmith. And to this day, that's my favorite Motörhead release, you know. And I became a Motörhead fanatic. So I bought Ace of Spades, Bomber, Overkill. I didn't have the first album till later. And I bought Iron Fist. And then I remember when this came out, it was on a local radio show. There was some kind of, I don't know, a specialty show on my radio station, WSHE. And they played the song, I Got Mine, from this. This is the first thing I heard from this album. And the first thing I thought was, whoa, that's different from Motörhead. Sounds kind of commercial. I mean, commercial for Motörhead. Found it kind of odd. But then I remember reading some reviews, and people were bashing it, saying this is a terrible album, Motörhead sold out. I was hearing a lot of backlash on this album, and it wasn't until months after that, there was, as everybody knows, Night Flight. I mean, all you old schoolers knows the show Night Flight on the USA Network. They played the song One Track Mind. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Now this is, you know, this doesn't sound like a sellout. So I soon found this after that. I found this fairly new. And so I brought it home, put it on. First song on here, Back at the Funny Farm. Whew. Now that song sounds like 100% no preservatives, Motörhead, you know. And the next song too, Shine. I can't remember now, man, offhand. There's a song very much like Shine in the Motörhead discography. It might have been later on, but I love Shine. Now, Dancing on Your Grave is where it was like, whoa. I do remember vividly hearing this album for the first time and hearing Dancing on Your Grave for the first time. And I was like, whoa, man, this is, sounds pretty commercial. The guitar on it was kind of melodic, you know. It's very different than Motörhead. But I still loved it. And a little side note, Dancing on Your Grave inspired Sepultura to name their band Sepultura, because Sepultura means grave in Portuguese. Alright, and then Rocket. Rocket again, you know, from Dancing on Your Grave. And then Rocket is kind of very commercial, kind of like rocky rolly, rockabilly kind of. But it's awesome. They later on went to re-record it much later. But it's wild. And, you know, I forgot to mention, this is Brian Robertson from Thin Lizzy, Robbo. And Lemmy, looking back on this album, said it was really hard recording it because Brian Robertson took forever, took like 10 hours, 11 hours to do a guitar track. He was a pain in the ass. And also, Lemmy talks about how the backlash on this album, how critics and fans hated it at the time. But, so yeah, then One Track Mind. I told you, that song is so epic, man. It's just grinding, slow, heavy, just badass, man. One Track Mind. Another Perfect Day, the title track. Again, kind of melodic guitar thing going on, but it's just classic. And Marching Off to War, again, kind of like that guitar tone on it. But it's so cool, man. It's different, man. It's very different than what you would expect from Motörhead up to that point. Well, shit, even after that. There's no Motörhead album that sounds like this. None. And it's really because of Brian Robertson. I Got Mine, which I told you, that's the song I first heard. And they did make a video, 3 videos for this album at the same time, which is Shine, One Track Mind, and I Got Mine. Great, great song. Tales of Glory is awesome. Glorious. Glorious killer song. And again, it has that different vibe, different sound. And Die You Bastard, the last track, which is not what you'd expect, like a rip-roaring. I mean, it is fast-tempoed, you know, Motörhead, but it kind of has a melodic type of chorus to it. It's very odd. But anyway, now in retrospect, Lemmy said, and it is true, a lot of people are looking back on this album now and loving it. At the time, it wasn't well received, but it's become like a fan favorite. I know many people that consider this the best Motörhead album. Me, as I said, No Sleep to Hammersmith, Overkill, you know, those are my favorites. But this is up there. I would put this maybe in the top 5. You know, I do like Orgasmatron more, the follow-up, which, you know, excluding No Remorse. I own every Motörhead album. Every single one. Not on vinyl, because some of them didn't come out on vinyl, but, you know, I have them on CD. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, live albums and compilations, you know, all that shit. I'm talking about official studio album releases and a couple live ones, not a lot of live. I got maybe 2 or 3 live Motörhead and a cool box set called Meltdown. Anyway, I love this album. I recommend it if you haven't heard it. If you're not really too well versed in Motörhead, maybe you should give this album a chance, because it is kind of like the one really different one. It's one that kind of like sticks out of all their albums. Well, I guess I could say March or Die as well, because March or Die to me is my least favorite. And listening to that album, all I can hear is record company pressure, because they were on Sony Records and they did, I don't know, it's kind of like them shit. Way more commercial than this. I mean, commercial for Motörhead. But I had to make an episode about this. Unfortunately, I did not see this tour. It didn't come here. And I believe, I think I read Robertson didn't even finish the tour because fans hated him. He was up there with ballet slippers and shorts and wearing pink with a headband. And Lemmy and Filthy were up there with their regular attire, you know, denim and leather, you know, and bullet belt. You know, they looked like they always did. But then they had this guy, Robertson, who smokes, an amazing guitar player. And what he does on this album is that solos on One Track Mind. I mean, the guy rips. Amazing, amazing guitar player. And what he did with Motörhead was amazing. And it's the only album he did with them. And there is a bonus track, well, a B-side called Turn You Around Again. That's awesome as well. I like every song off this album, and I think it deserves an episode. So there you go. That's what I think about Another Perfect Day from Motörhead. Just amazing. And I'm sure I'll have more Motörhead episodes because they have so many great albums that should be talked about. A lot of albums that, you know, are kind of underrated. You know, I don't know if I would call this underrated in the world of Motörhead. It was underrated at one time back in the day because I remember loving this when it first came out, and I remember a lot of rumblings of people like, ugh, they need Fast Eddie, this is garbage. But then they kind of redeemed themselves with No Remorse and so on. Orgasmatron Rock and Roll, another very underrated Motörhead album. But there you go. That's what I think of Another Perfect Day from Motörhead. So thank you all for watching. If you'd like to donate, I got a PayPal in the description below. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Right on. I really like this jacket, but the sleeves are much too long. Stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and Motörhead. And SHMACKEMAGOB.